All right. Hello, everybody. Steve Bowman here. Thank you for those of you that registered. I know we had a decent registration for today, and we have some folks that join us live today as we go through today's webinar. So as you can see from the screen, this topic is living healthy now and forever. So one of the things we always need to remember is that not only is it important to live healthy now, but if we choose health now, we're going to be able to live healthier throughout the years. There's a compounding effect of healthy living as well as a compounding effect of unhealthy living and unhealthy behaviors. So as we go through today, I want you to be very conscious and intentional about where you are and where you want to go, and consider some of the ways that you can really start to improve and move forward. All right. So with that being said, let me go ahead and take us through. So I want to show a quick introduction for a new course offering that we have. And this is a good segue into today's topic, which is how can you take the core lifestyle areas and really put them all together to really maximize our lifestyle and our day-to-day behaviors so we can improve our overall health. So let me go ahead and play this for everybody here. Looks like it's loading here for a minute. So the video does not want to work. It's a YouTube link, and for some reason it does not want to work right now. So we'll improvise and we'll just continue moving forward with that. All right, so as we go through, and before we get started, let me read this quote here that I found, and it's very, very true. So the measure of success is not whether you have a tough problem to deal with, but whether or not it's the same problem that you had last year. And that's something we have to consider here, is that problems are inevitable. I've never met a person that's free of problems in their life or in their health. So what we have to consider here is, are we moving forward? Are we improving our personal health? Are we taking today's challenges and learning from them, addressing the root causes and figuring out what we can do? So this is something that we have to keep in mind as we're considering our behavior change. So to put it into perspective, it's really important for us to always start with the why. So what I want to encourage you to do right now is go in the chat, if you can. I know some of you guys are in the car or driving or not unable, or just reflect as you're listening to this and watching this back. What are the top 3 reasons why you want to live healthy? So take a minute and consider that. What are the top 3 reasons? What's your why? When somebody says, do you want to live healthy? And they say to you, you say, yeah, 99% of us say yes. When we answer that and they say, why? What would you say? So what are the top 3 reasons why you want to live healthy? So keep that in your conscious mind as we're thinking here. And go ahead and type in the chat or share with the group if you feel comfortable. If not, just kind of jot it down in your own notes. As we go through today, I want you to keep that close to you and focus on why is it that you want to live healthy? And then we're going to build off of that momentum, focusing on the why, the what, and the how. All right, now that we have taken a minute to think about what's our why do we want to be healthy? What are 3 things that you know you need to change? 3 things specifically that you know you need to change with your health, with your behaviors, your lifestyle. Again, go ahead in the chat and share this if you feel comfortable sharing. So what is it that you need to change? So we know that we want to live healthy. We've considered our why. Now we're considering specifically, what are the 3 things that we know? And this is something that we have to understand, that although we may have some health challenges or opportunities for improvement, we know ourselves the best. And this is something that's really important when we focus on our experiences, our passion, our gifts. We know where we're good, where we struggle, and where we have opportunities. So we have to lean on that and tap into that. So go ahead and share in the chat if you feel comfortable. What are the 3 things that you know you need to change? So for me specifically, I know that, I need to incorporate more daily physical activity in and make sure that even though the day gets busy, you're making time for it. or be conscious of overeating during meals. Whatever it is for you, just take a minute and reflect and share that if you're interested. And then Melissa's on board today too, so she'll be able to answer any questions throughout today's webinar if you have any questions or need some support or anything along those lines. All right, so before we dive into the fact that lifestyle is a game changer, I do want to start with a quick introduction of who I am, Melissa, as well as our Live and Lead team. So we are an organization called Live and Lead, and we focus on serving community members in 3 core areas: understanding health challenges, helping people and equipping people in living better, and then helping them lead by example, by knowing the way, going the way, and showing the way. We do that through a variety of offerings. We have complimentary challenges and mini courses. We have standard course offerings, which are usually about 3 hours. We have our flagship course offering that are a little bit more intense and timely. We are also excited to tell everybody that we're launching a group coaching program, more to come at the end of today's webinar. So I'm the business leader for Live and Lead. This has been a passion of mine for about the last 16, 17 years. Essentially, ever since I was in graduate school, I knew that I wanted to start a business like this. And Melissa is one of our team members. She is a community collaborator as well as a coach. And so as we go through and move forward, we just want you to know that we're here to serve and support you. That's our mission, is to serve and support and really equip people in improving their personal life and their health. So with that being said, I do want to share the good news that lifestyle is a game changer. Lifestyle is not something that is insignificant. What we do daily matters. And specifically, we're going to dive into 6 core areas. The 6 core areas that we're going to talk about go from improving our sleep. And one of my favorite quotes on sleep is, if you want to have a good night's sleep, or if you want to have a good tomorrow, get a good night's sleep tonight. Sleep is essential. Sleep is so important that we spend roughly 1/3 of our life asleep. So if we live to 90, you're talking about 30 years of sleep. All right. So we're going to dive into sleep. Nutrition, eating well. What we put into our bodies matters. According to the Global Burden of Disease study, which was the longest longitudinal study, it evaluated hundreds of thousands of people. They found that the #1 cause of death and disability in the entire world is nutrition. Eating well is incredibly important to our overall health. And then moving more, being physically active. This doesn't mean that you have a sentence to run on the treadmill 90 minutes daily, but we do need to move. We need to be physically active. We need to challenge our body, because similar to our brain, when we're challenging our body, it grows, it develops, it maintains a certain level of immune response and strength and energy creation. So movement is essential when it comes to our overall health. Stressing less. I'm sure that's all something that we deal with on a day-to-day basis. We need to better examine our stressors, which are the cause of our stress, but then determine and figure out how we can better respond to those stressors. So somebody's stressor might be driving to work in traffic, or their stressor might be work itself or family responsibilities. We need to understand our stressors and figure out how we can positively respond. And then cultivating relationships, understanding and prioritizing the key relationships in our life to say, what are the most important relationships in my life? And how can I maximize that time? What is it that I need to be doing to improve those relationships? So, go through as we go through today's presentation, identify and figure out and say, well, what are the most important relationships in my life, and how can I be better in those relationships? And then lastly, the last piece of the puzzle is avoiding risky substances. Being mindful of the things that don't really add value to our life and to our health. So when we put all of these together, it's like the secret sauce. When we're getting enough sleep and we're well rested, we're nourishing our body through rest and recovery, when we're eating well and we're eating things that add value to our health, when we're being physically active, strengthening our body and maintaining a certain level of physical fitness, understanding our stressors, maximizing our life to better deal with our stressors and commitments, building and maintaining strong relationships, and being mindful of limiting things that maybe aren't as beneficial to us. So these are the 6 areas we're going to focus on today. So when we consider living healthy now and forever, we want to consider these 6 areas. All right, first up, sleep. Like I said, the best way to have a good tomorrow is to have a good night's sleep tonight. Okay, so we're going to go through a thought exercise with 3 different areas. And as we go through these, I want you to, as we have little nuggets of information or things that jump out to you as to call to actions or things you want to do or questions you have, again, put it in the chat and share it with us. It's always helpful to understand, what things really resonated with you as you watch this. So we're going to go through the why, the what, and the how. So here's some examples here as to why. So the challenge to you all listening is to go through and reflect what's your why. And you'll see throughout the charts, we're giving you the opportunity to select these for yourself. So if there's some that are on there that are maybe missing, go on there and write it in. And as a follow-up to today's seminar, I'm going to go through and I'm going to share a document that goes side by side with the things we're going to talk about, where you're going to be able to really get into each of these areas specifically. So as you can see, we're restoring our bodies, we're repairing our body, it conserves body energy. And when you wake up, you feel much more energized, our immune system strengthened. And then it also has an indirect effect on other lifestyle areas as well. Now what do we do? So we want to be physically active daily. That's something we want to consider. By being physically active, we're going to be much more better able to deal with life's challenges, but we're also going to be more tired and we're going to want to go to bed, and physically we're going to sleep much better as a result. You can also focus on improving your nutrition. This is another area that has been found to have beneficial aspects with our sleep. Avoiding some of the known interrupters of sleep, alcohol, nicotine, drugs, caffeine. These are things we can consider as to how we can improve our sleep. And you can see some of the other lists on there as well. Now, as we go from the why to the what to the how, we then move forward and say, okay, now how can we do that? So now this is where we get more specific. So our why, we go through and say, all right, we are looking at this and saying, okay, I know why I want to do it. I know how. And then specifically, this is where you have to go and say, this is what I'm doing specifically. So we want to restore our body. We want to energize our body. We want to be physically active. Okay, we're going to walk 30 minutes daily. Or we're going to eat 5, 6, 7, 8 servings of vegetables a day. We're going to limit our caffeine consumption or our alcohol consumption. We're going to turn off the TV or put a phone away by nighttime, close to bed. We're going to drop the temperature in our house. This is where you go and get a little bit more specific as you move along. All right. So when we look at sleep, it's important for you to consider, how are you going to improve? So again, if you feel comfortable, go ahead and share in the chat. Share maybe a why that you have as to why you want to make sleep a priority, or what you want to do, or how you're going to do it. By getting that clarity and going through these 3 steps, it can absolutely put us in the right direction and set us up for success. All right, the next area that we want to consider is eating well. Eating well, as mentioned previously, is the #1 cause of death and disability in the entire world. So nutrition, that is. So if we eat well, we can minimize and decrease our risk of dealing with, poor quality of life. But let's get into some of the specifics here. Again, select your why. Why do you want to eat well? Reach and maintain a healthy weight. Nutrition is a key factor there. Prevent, treat, or reverse chronic diseases such as high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes. The good news is that chronic diseases respond to lifestyle, because essentially the primary cause of chronic diseases is in fact lifestyle. You might want to eat well to improve your mental health and or your cognitive function. What if I told you that by eating a lower fat diet, you can then improve your cognitive function and get more blood flow moving throughout your body? That's another way to get better circulation and improve your mental health and overall, the incredible benefits throughout your body. So consider some of the reasons why, and then also reflect on What are some of your whys? What are some things that why you want to improve? All right. And then what? Again, consider selecting your what. Are you going to consume fiber-rich foods such as fruits, veggies, whole grains, legumes? Keep in mind, fiber comes from plants. There's zero fiber in animal products. There's very minimal fiber in processed foods. We want to eat unprocessed plant-based foods to get fiber. Fiber is our friend. You also may consider and say, all right, I'm going to avoid and or limit animal-based foods. Because there's not as many benefits as eating more of the plant-based food options. You might say, okay, this is something I want to consider. You also might say, all right, I've been eating a lot of processed foods lately, so I want to stop buying the prepared meals at the grocery store, and I really want to focus on just eating unprocessed ingredients and or minimizing things like oils, snack foods, things like that. Or you might say, okay, let's make my plate as colorful as possible. Regardless of what you eat, color is a good thing. If it's natural color from the plant kingdom, it offers an incredible amount of benefits. All right. So now keep that in mind as we focus on your how. How are you specifically going to implement a healthier meal plan? So you can say, you know how traditionally you might say, all right, well, what are we having for dinner? We're having chicken. All right. What do we want with the chicken? Now we should reframe our thinking and say, okay, we're having broccoli, or we're having brown rice. What do we want with broccoli and brown rice? Start to shift your way of thinking. Instead of the big portion of meat with a little pile of vegetable maybe on the side, now start thinking big portion of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, with maybe a small portion of meat, or leaving that meat off the plate altogether. And then you might say, all right, I want to decrease the frequency or serving size. I've met a lot of folks that have said, well, I want to minimize the amount of animal-based food, so I'll just eat it maybe once a week or twice a week. Instead of going from 2 to 3 meals daily, where you're talking, a minimum of 14 to 21 animal-based foods per week, now they're only maybe consuming 2 to 4, 2 to 5. So again, you have to just consider for you specifically, what are some strategies that you're going to look to improve your how for eating well. The next area, move more. Now, key thing here when we look at this, it's not necessarily just about exercise. Again, go back 50 years ago, exercise was not nearly as common as today. It was more in the general physical fitness perspective, but it wasn't as big of a thing or as common. You didn't see huge fitness centers and in gyms all around. So our culture has gotten more and more sedentary, and we've consumed more and more food. So oftentimes now we try to offset that with exercise. There's incredible benefits of exercise. It's often said that the benefits of exercise, if they were put into one pill, it would be the most widely prescribed pill ever used, ever needed, ever requested. All right, so consider some of the reasons why. Increased energy and overall health, mental health and cognitive function, immune system, chronic diseases, healthy weight. Again, the list goes on. We could list 10, 15, 20 different benefits as to why you would want to consider. But the key thing here is personalize it for you. What is your why? Not what's my why. My why won't necessarily motivate you if it's not your why. All right. So it's important for you to consider that. Then start to consider, well, what's your what? What physical activities are you going to incorporate? How can you create a progressive plan to do more over time? How can you make exercise and or physical activity part of your normal routine? Maybe every day you cook your dinner, you eat your meal, and then maybe you go for a 20, 30-minute walk after dinner. It just becomes part of your routine. Maybe at work, you have a half hour, 60-minute break. Instead of going out and running errands during your lunch break, maybe you eat while you're working, and then you go for a walk during lunch. So what you have to consider is, well, what's your what? What do you want to do? But the key thing here is with exercise and physical activity, do things that you enjoy. You don't have to do things that you do not enjoy. One time I had a woman say, I am not going to run unless there's a fire or somebody's chasing me. And I smiled and I said, you don't have to run. You pick what works for you, but experiment, figure out, the things that are enjoyable for you. So consider your how. Know your why. Why do you want to be physically active? What are some things you plan to do? And specifically, how are you going to incorporate more activity into your life? All right, moving down the list. Stress. All right, stress is a big part of common culture in America. It is often referred to that workplace stress is the #1 predictor of cardiovascular health. All right, so it's important for us to understand, as cardiovascular health is the #1 cause of death in America, cardiovascular health issues, we need to take this serious and understand that stress is important. It's important for us to understand, why is it that we want to improve our stress and how we normally respond to our stressors, but also what can we do? And so this is something for us to consider. Our stressors are the cause, our stress is the response. Two of us might have completely similar stressors, but it affects each of us differently. Stress is very subjective. It's important for us to understand that, but we need to focus on the fact that we can actually take tangible steps to say, what are my stressors? How am I currently responding? And how can I do better? And oftentimes it goes with all the different things we're talking about. If we focus on all these healthy behaviors we're talking about today, you will have a direct effect, a positive direct effect for your own personal stress management. And then again, how? Focus on working more efficiently, continually checking with how you're feeling, and then focus on what your response will be. Take physical action, get more sleep, exercise. You might want to say, okay, since my what is healthy nutrition, I'm going to incorporate more unprocessed plant-based foods at every meal. If you start to understand the why, the what, and the how for each of these areas, you can create some mini goals and success along the way. Cultivating relationships. So it's important for us to understand that relationships are important. We need relationships. We need to maximize the relationships that we have. So a quick thought exercise, take a minute and think, what are the 3 or 4 most important relationships in your life? Once you identify them and say, well, these are the most important relationships in my life, you need to make sure that you align your lifestyle with that. You should be valuing the time and the attention and the connection that you have with those individuals. Relationships are very beneficial to our health. Oftentimes people might say, well, what does relationships have to do with health? A lot of evidence-based research shows that it has dramatic effects. I mean, from our immune system to our mental health to just overall self-esteem and self-worth and self-efficacy, which is self-efficacy is our belief in our ability to accomplish something. We want to have supportive people around us in our life. So it's important for us to identify those key relationships, be an effective communicator, understand your own values, and then live according to them. It's important for us to truly reflect on what our values are. So if John Doe says his values are A, B, and C, and his actions are D, E, and F, if they don't align, then something's off. Either they're not truly your values or you need to change your behaviors. And then focus on the how. Get very specific with your how. What are your steps that you're going to do to maximize those relationships? Don't think of relationships as, oh, I have a relationship, I have a wife, I have a husband, I have a son, I have a daughter. We don't want to possess them. It's not just a matter of owning them. It's how can you maximize that? You're fortunate to have that relationship. How can you create a win-win and really nurture and strengthen that relationship as you move forward? And then the last of the 6 core areas is avoiding risky substances. So one of the things that we have to understand here is that from a quantity and a quality of life perspective, toxic substances play a significant role. And the 3 primary ones that are more common in America and throughout the world are tobacco use, alcohol use, and drug use. So some folks might say, well, I don't want to quit any of these. I don't want to stop any of these. And that's a personal choice. We're all given the gift of free will. But it's important to understand, just like we know that carrying excess weight is a risk, we know that tobacco use is a risk, and alcohol poses risks, and drug use poses risks. It's important to understand that they are in fact risks as it relates to our health and our life. So focus on the why. Why is it that you want to do this? And then get specific with your what. What is it that you plan to do? You know, I often teach college students, and this is something that we go through and we talk about, okay, A lot of them say, well, I don't want to drink alcohol anymore. I want to significantly decrease the amount of alcohol I consume. What you want to do is come up with a plan and say, okay, well, what's your plan to minimize these? What can you do? Start with small goals, and then over time you progress. Mark Twain once said, quitting smoking is easy. I've done it hundreds of times. All right. Quitting smoking is hard. Alcohol cessation, stopping drug use. These are challenging things, but they're important. And it's something that where there's a will, there's a way, and there's always support. And you can never stop trying if these are things that you want to minimize or reduce in your life. All right, now I know I went quickly through that, so I want to summarize here. We talked about improving our sleep, eating well, moving more, stressing less, cultivating relationships, and avoiding risky substances. It's important that we understand and reflect on all of these areas. Take a minute and think in your own life, number them. And if you had to prioritize and rank them, what's your number one? What's your number two, number three, number four, number five, number six? Where are the areas that you're doing the best, and where are the areas of opportunity? Notice how I didn't say weakness. There's strengths and opportunities. And we have to reframe our mindset and think like that. But bottom line, you have to understand that you can, in fact, live better. That's one of our key messages to everybody that we have the opportunity to support, is that by making lifestyle changes and being hopeful as to what you can do, you can, in fact, improve. I've never met a person that couldn't improve in any area of their health or their life. So it's important for us to understand that. We also have to consider that change is necessary. Oftentimes, we're afraid of change. Change is uncomfortable. When we look at our life, it's easier to do what we're currently doing. That's the truth. But what we have to understand is that we have to have an I can mindset. We have to shift our mindset into believing that you can. Confucius once said, those who think they can and those who think they can't are right. So why not choose to be positive and think that you can? All right, we need to understand that success, it takes time. It takes consistency, and it does not happen in a day. People say, oh, they're an overnight success. And then you ask that person and they say, yeah, 15 years in the making. So what we have to understand is what we do daily matters more than what we do infrequently. And then whatever you've done to your body or your health in the past, it's important to understand that not only can you prevent these things, you can treat and you can reverse these things, especially when it comes to hypertension and weight management and high cholesterol and diabetes and many chronic diseases. Lifestyle is a game changer, as we said earlier, and through behavior change, you can successfully undo a lot of these things. All right. So what we have to do is we have to stop intending to do things. We have to actually take action on them. Good intentions are not as good as we give credit for. We have to focus on good intentions followed up by actions. That's the key thing we need to consider. All right, so now let me ask you guys here, and again, share in the chat if you feel comfortable. Now, as you're looking forward over the next 12 months, what would a good 12 months look like for you? What would be a big win? What would be a couple things that you would say, wow, a year from now, so fall of 2022, what has to happen for it to have been a good year? 12 months, it's powerful. I've seen dramatic benefits in 6 weeks, 10 weeks, 12 weeks. Imagine 12 months. What does a good 12 months look like for you? Go ahead and type in the chat if you feel comfortable. Share that with the group. All right. And then as you're considering that, what does a good 12 months look like for you? I want you also to consider, what are 3 key behaviors that you want to improve in the next 90 days? Looking at the areas we talked about today and knowing your own personal health status as of now, what are the 3 areas, the 3 behavioral areas that you would like to improve in the next 90 days? Whether it's nutrition or stress management or avoidance of risky substances or strengthening relationships, whatever it is for you, it's important to consider, what is it that you want to do? All right. And then once you understand that, you get clarity on that. And I'm not going to share these today since we're running a little bit over, but there's some testimonials in here that are going to be available when we send it out to everybody. But uh, through the recent years of supporting and helping and encouraging people, we've seen a lot of really incredible transformations. And it's what inspired us to start our organization, to essentially go through and build it out to where we can help more people. And so what I want to ask all of you is, are you next? Do you want to be a testimonial? Essentially, do you want to have positive outcomes in the next 3 months, the next 6 months, the next 12 months? I can tell you this, it's in fact possible. So what I want you to do is consider the change that you want to have as you're moving forward, and consider, okay, what are the wins for you to have made it a successful 3 months or a successful 12 months? What needs to happen to do that? And I do want to take a minute here and share that we do have a new group coaching program, and our team is very excited about this. This is something that we are really just in the process of building out now, and we're so thankful. And as we were starting to build it out, we thought, how can we best serve and support people? And it came down to it that the best way to do that, to add the accountability and the support and the challenge and the guidance and the community aspect, it's through a group coaching program. So we're going to be able to provide a self-directed online course, group coaching sessions, weekly challenges, a private Facebook group, accountability group as well. And we're going to be launching this from November through January 2022. So this is a 12-week program. This is something that has been done many times with people that we've worked with through the years, but this is something that we are really excited to introduce. So what I want to ask you guys is I want to be point blank and ask you to have a discovery session with me. I'm very happy and excited to sit down with any of you, whether it's phone or Zoom, and have a conversation about 3 things. Let's talk about what's possible for you. Is it, getting ready for running a marathon? Is it reversing your type 2 diabetes? Is it improving your digestive system, preventing cancer, reversing heart disease, losing weight? Whatever it is, let's talk about the possibilities that you can do. And then let's reflect on what's holding you back. Why is it that you're still dealing with this problem that you had last year, the year before? And what are the personal challenges that you're facing that may be holding you back? And then come up with solutions. Like we said at the beginning, we all have problems. We're going to have more problems as we progress. But what we need to understand is, how can we fix them? We need to be problem solvers. And so if you're interested, or willing to have a call, have a chat, type in the chat right now. I'm in. I want to have a conversation. There's no strings attached. And I will tell you that if you sign up for a discovery session, in the next, 2 weeks, I do want to let you guys know that I'm going to give you a free resource that this is something that's newly being created. It hasn't been shared with anybody. So just a little bonus, it's not something that is something we're going to restrict from people down the road, but it's something we do want to give to you as a person that's making a commitment to improving their personal health. So if you're interested, go in the chat right now, type "I'm in." If you're watching this playback, fill out the form, click on this link here, and then you'll be able to go through and fill out a quick form. You're going to tell us a little bit about who you are and what your interests are. And then when we have a discovery session, whether it's a Zoom or a telephone call, we can go through and talk about it. We want to be able to figure out where you are now, where you want to go, and start to create a plan for how you're going to get there. All right. Here's a couple additional links if you're interested in a 12-week self-directed course. That's the first link there. The second link is if you're interested in signing up or joining the group coaching program. And then lastly, it's our general online school where we have challenges, mini courses, standard courses, and all of our offerings can be found on the site. Quick mention here, this is the second webinar of 9. So our first webinar was 2 weeks ago, where we talked about maximizing your lifestyle for weight management. Today's topic is living healthy now and forever. In 2 weeks, we're going to be coming together yet again for mental health and cognitive function. So if any of these topics or all of these topics seem interesting to you, or something that you personally would love to improve, please join our school. That's the key action item for this. If you join our school, you will get all of the all of the marketing materials and the promotions that say, Here's the topic, here's the date, sign up today. We'll make sure that you're in the loop. There's no strings attached with joining our school. You can opt out at any time. It's a complimentary offering. So this is something that we've been spending the last 10 months creating content and resources and information and guides on all of these topics. So we're really excited to be able to share that with everybody. So what I want to challenge you to do is to write your story. Take a minute, think about where you are, where you want to go, and how you're going to get there. Because I can tell you this, you matter and your health matters. So it's important for you to understand that in all the thousands of people I've worked with over the last 17 years as a health professional, I've never met a person that did not want to feel better or improve their health. It's oftentimes the fact that we may not know how, or we might not be confident in our ability to do it. But I can tell you, if you need support, you need guidance, you need that challenge, let us know how we can help you with courses, with group coaching, with any type of support. We want to help you. But we can tell you this, that if you engage with us, you'll get there faster than if you don't. Okay, now if you can take the information and go and implement it, great. Some of us can do that, but some of us need more accountability, need more support, need that guidance and communication. All right, so with that being said, I want to end here and thank everybody for attending. It's truly an opportunity, and a responsibility that we have as health professionals to really share the good news. Healthy living matters.